just take us through sort of where things stand with your unit. I guess Lane, obviously Lane's back, but where are you at kicker right now?
I mean, right now, we've got three, all are new. Jack Martin, who came in from Alabama, really strong leg. He had a really strong spring, and has backed that up here so far in fall camp. Again, Cooper Hamilton, who's from West Texas, was at Eastern New Mexico. He's got a big kickoff leg, and he's been really solid as well, both with kickoffs and field goals. And then Joseph Kim, who joined us this summer, really talented young kicker. Really excited about all three of those guys. Jack's been with us the longest. The other two joined us in the summer, but again, quality depth. That we're really excited about. All three of those guys have had a really strong spring camp.
Y'all had guys handle kickoff and the placing. Could you see yourself doing that again, or would you like to have one person?
Yeah, it all just depends on the individual. If we have a guy, Jack being an upperclassman, he's done a little bit of everything just over his past. He's been a starting punter, he's been a backup kickoff guy, and a backup field goal kicker. So he gives us a lot of options in terms of when we've got to get our travel roster down to 70. But we're going to put the best 11 out there. So if our starting field goal guy gives us the best opportunity on kickoff as well, then we'll do that. Obviously, we're going to have a couple guys ready in each of those phases.
In terms of the punt return, obviously that's going to be somebody new this year, but you got a lot of fast guys to pick from. Can you share maybe just some of the guys that are working out back there?
Yeah, absolutely. Peyton Sawyer, who's been with us, he got some action, had a big return for us in the bowl game against Louisiana. Has been working back there. Malik Fleming, who we faced, he's got a lot of experience being the punt returner at ECU in the past. And again, he's fearless, he's explosive, and again, the biggest thing is just having experience back there. Matt Golden has been back there as well, continuing to work him. And then Joseph Manjack, just again, you can't have enough guys back there that you feel comfortable with and you trust. So again, we've got some good options. Obviously, for the second year in a row, filling some big shoes, but the standard's not going to change in terms of how we attack it and what we're looking for in terms of our goals. Obviously, not only the returners, but those other 10. We're going to have to raise their level with our schedule, and starts with UTSA, but all the way through the schedules. Yeah.
Similar group working on kickoffs, returns, probably similar group.
Yeah. Stacy Sneed back there as well. Brandon Campbell back as an off returner. Same thing, Matt, Peyton. And then working some of the young guys like Parker Jenkins, who was really successful in high school, and continuing to bring those guys along. Same thing over the course of the season. We've had 6 to 8 guys that we've rotated through in fall camp, and we'll pare that down a little bit going into game week. But you can't have enough of those guys ready to go.
As you look at your special teams unit, they say the way on the field is through special teams. Have you seen some of the younger guys who, if you want to get them some action, that's sort of what they've done to kind of open their eyes on special teams?
100%, and that starts with the head coach, Coach Holgerson, being in every single one of those special teams meetings. When the head coach puts an emphasis on it, it kind of has a trickle-down effect to the rest of the staff and the rest of the players. But just we've had a lot of new guys that joined us in the spring, and they kind of got a head start with all the drills, a lot of competitive drills, a lot of one-on-one competitive drills, because around here, that's the way you get better. We're going to teach the fundamentals, and then we're going to crank it up and have competitive drills to see who those best 11 are. But a lot of new guys that have opened some eyes. I think our depth is in as good a place as we've been here, and our overall team speed, same thing. Probably the best team speed overall since we've been here.
What are key factors in a successful return game?
Obviously, having explosive returners, but great decision making and being able to set up blocks with our tracks. But then from a blocking the other 10 guys is just it's the little things. Just being able to get lined up, focus on the details and the techniques, having the correct count and communication, and we've got to move people. Whether it's through double teams or kick out blocks or just one-on-one, understanding leverage and positioning on the field and where that ball is kicked and where we have to get to prevent our guy from getting in the way of the returner and making the play.
In terms of punt return, how much is it just you got it or you don't versus can be taught along the way?
I think it's a little bit of both. Marcus Jones was naturally the most gifted one I've ever had. Tank Dell worked himself into becoming a very good punt returner, because he had done it here and there, but it's just reps and reps and reps. It's a little different than kickoff return. You don't have quite as much of a buffer in terms of those guys being on the opposite 35 running down, where you've got to have trust in those other 10 guys and be able to kind of have a feel for, okay, when am I going to take my shot? When am I going to fair catch? If I've got to make a guy miss. But really, it's just that factor of having confidence and making good sound decisions when you're going to have people on top of you quicker.
Mark, what is it about, you guys have been real fortunate at punter. In 12 years that I've been here, you've had Richie Leone for 4 years, you had Dane Roy, and now Lane's going to be a 4-year guy. Just the consistency there of having one guy where you're not having to, you have a guy who maybe has a bad stretch and put him, put somebody else in there. I mean, you guys have been really solid at that position.
Yeah, some of that is recruiting. A lot of that is just the overall development of our guys, because none of them are coming in as finished products, and that goes to our strength and conditioning. That goes to just schematically what we're trying to do and the tweaks we make to kind of best suit their skill set. And there's a little bit of luck in that also, because not all those guys that you take pan out. But we've been lucky, since I've been here, to have Dane and then Lane come in, and he's been as strong and as consistent as he's been since he's been here this fall camp. Really, I mean, feels good. His strength is better, hang time's better, location has been better. So really excited for him to take that next step.
Did you get Kelvin and them to start recruiting Australia when they were on that trip with the basketball team?
I'm not sure how tight, if they're going to run into the guys from Pro Kick down there or not, kind of different worlds. But no, obviously having the in with Dane helped us in recruiting Lane and getting him up here. And it's also one of those things where I think Lane felt more comfortable once he got here, being away from his family, because we had Dane Roy here to kind of show him the ropes and bring him along and get him acclimated before Dane went back to Australia. So, and just the maturity level of those guys. Like Lane, he's married, he's in his late 20s, he's experienced a whole lot. There's a different maturity level with those guys. They kind of know how to be a pro and pick that stuff up a little bit quicker.
On Gavin, the long snapper's not something you hear a lot about unless something happens.
100%.
But can you just kind of take us through what you see in a position like that, and specifically with Gavin and how he handles that position, because he's been really one of the best in the country.
And Gavin has been really good. Jacob Garza, our other one, who's handled the majority of the punt snaps last year. Both of those guys have done a great job. Again, Gavin, it's how you said, it's a pretty thankless job. You don't get any recognition unless you're screwing up and doing it on the biggest stage. So the fact that nobody has asked me about long snapper for really the last 2 years is a really good thing, just in terms of consistency and accuracy and everything like that. And again, we've got two really good ones who have a lot of game experience, and both have done field goals and both have done punts. So we're lucky to have both of those guys.